accepted in person. A link to the video and audio will be posted immediately following this evening's meeting. To improve sound while listening to the meeting, please turn up the volume on your computer and turn up the volume on the website. The meeting packet for tonight's meeting is located, oh, thank you, look at me. The meeting packet for tonight's meeting is located on the website. The emergency exits for those attending tonight's meeting, the emergency exits from the room are the door behind you or through the foyer. To improve the quality of sound, there's a boom microphone directed toward the commissioners. Public comments are accepted in person. A link to the video and audio will be posted immediately.
Sorry, you're good.
The microphone likely will pick up additional audience noise and sidebar conversations. If you are predisposed to not hearing well, please move to the front row or request of our on-site staff an assistive device as an accommodation. The board asks for your cooperation to maintain decorum. Please be considerate and refrain from interrupting board members and other speakers. Welcome to the September 25th, 2025 Winnetka Park District Board of Commissioners regular meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:03 and ask Lynn to take a roll call for attendance.
Commissioner Kodo,
Here.
Commissioner Corley,
Here.
Commissioner Ramp,
Here.
Commissioner Root,
Present.
Commissioner Seaman,
Here.
Commissioner Tyson,
Here.
and Commissioner Gibson.
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask now that we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move on to other public comments or announcements, I would like to pause and recognize the passing of Tom Fry, who served as Regional Commissioner of our local AYSO Region 425. Tom gave his time and energy to youth in our community through soccer for a great number of years, and his efforts touched so many families in our community. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to join me in a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you. Shannon?
So other public comment or public announcements for today. So please join us for Bike Winnetka and Fall Fest this Saturday here at Skokie Playfield. More information can be found in our brochure or on the website. We are still taking registrations if you have not registered yet. The Winnetka Golf Club is starting to wind down the season and will be doing some maintenance this fall in which users will notice buried hole closures in order to do some fairway repair work. This should not greatly impact play, but please reach out to the course if you have any questions. And then in very good news, one of our longtime volunteers, Mike DiPortolo, will be honored as Outstanding Citizen Volunteer of the Year at this year's IAPD Best of the Best Gala on October 24th. So we are super excited for that, and congratulations to Mike.
Yeah, wonderful. At this time, I'd like to move to the regular meeting agenda, and I would like to remove from closed session the topics related to 5 Illinois compiled statutes 120-2, C3, 5, and 6. And I'd like to add item 6.3 for open session, a discussion concerning the meeting among the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, Park District staff, and the Park District's Board Village liaisons. Are there any requests for changes or additions to the agenda?
Can you just say, so you're moving
9.3.
9.3? Okay.
Yeah, to open session. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the September 25th, 2025 regular meeting of agenda as amended? So moved.
Second.
This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Do I say any? Any opposed? Okay. This is for our public here. This is your opportunity to address the board on any issue. When called upon, please come to the center position in front of the commissioners and stand at the podium. Speak into the microphone, state your name for the record, and speak directly to the board. Based on the public comment policy described in the board policy manual and referenced in Public Access Counselor Opinion 2024 Pact 81900, guests may present public comment for no longer than 3 minutes after being recognized. If you prefer to share your comments in writing this evening, you may do so by leaving those comments with a member of the Park District staff. We'll have a little change tonight. We're going to ask that individuals who wish to speak raise their hands. Okay. Can we start with the second row, please?
Exciting.
It bends at the top,
It bends
just a little bit, yep,
like this.
a little bit there. There you go.
Don't count the learning part as 3 seconds or 3 minutes. Okay. Thank you very, very much to all of you who supported getting new updated audio equipment. I'm sure all of the rest of the residents of the Winnetka Park District join me in thanking you. It's exciting to see it come on board. My basic comments that I've asked, I would like to make tonight regard cleaning up those of us who live in dual areas of the Winnetka Park District. Some of us live in Northfield, some live in Glencoe, etc. But I had an occasion, my neighbors on either side came down within the last month to pick up Park District, decal stickers and whatnot. One of them was brand new, and another one just lived here but had never needed beach things before. But both of them were told that they were not Winnetka Park District residents, and they live on either side of me, and that they should go to Glencoe. So the newest resident, having been just there 4 or 5 days, trotted up to Glencoe, and Glencoe told them absolutely not. They weren't Glencoe Park District residents, and to please go back to Winnetka. Well, these people are now, they left for Scotland instead of coming back down here. So on their return from Scotland, I hope you could accommodate them. But more importantly, if we can have a map at the front desk that just is an outline map that shows the boundaries of the Winnetka Park District, then when someone comes in, they can say, here's my driver's license and there's my street and it's right there. They don't need to have to go and come back with extra identification. And that's all it is. It's a simple thing that can be at the front desk. Thank you very much, and hope I don't have to ask this request again.
And then there was another hand raised in the third row.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mucci. I've lived here 36 years, been on the caucus many, many years. Been on the candidates committee, slating committee, communications committee, rules committee currently. I've been very active in the caucus. I'm here tonight because several people in the community have come up to me and asked me questions that I didn't know the answer to. And then as they have these concerns, they're getting these rumors about that the Park District has these plans to expand daycare. I said I knew nothing about it, and I asked my friends in the caucus if they knew anything about it, and they haven't heard anything. I can't speak for everybody in the caucus, but from those that I've known, that nobody's heard of this. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but when you're dealing with public government and public funds, and especially in our caucus system where we have issues that are decided by the public that are significant, like this seems to be fairly significant, because it involves issues of staffing, funding, facilities, and these are public facilities. I don't know if this initiative was motivated by private interest, or someone could privately benefit from this. or if it's gonna have an effect on any governmental affair whatsoever. But I don't have to remind you that we can't use public funds or facilities or money to accomplish any private interest. And I'm not saying that that applies, but even if it didn't apply, proper protocols, as you know, must be followed. You must present this to the caucus so we can have proper discussion. And being on the communications committee, you know that we have to present these issues to the public. They must be made aware of it. And I'm on the caucus, I was not made aware of it. But then again, I don't know how real this is. This is just rumors that people have come up to me and asked me about. And that's why I'm here tonight to ask you if there's any substance to this. Because if there is, we need to bring it to the caucus's attention, we need to discuss it, and if there's merit to it, we need to put it on the survey. And that's the proper procedure. So I would urge you that if there is substance, to let us know. Bring it before us, and that you should not act on this unilaterally, because in our form of government, this is what we do. That's why you're here, that's why you're participating, so that we follow these procedures and these rules in a democratic form of government. So I'm on the caucus, I'm anxious to hear about anything. I don't know if it's in the platform or the Parks province to engage in large-scale daycare. I don't know what the insurance liability is on this. I don't know if the public is willing to undertake this. But I think that we have to have these questions answered before you do anything about this. That's my concerns. I hope I can go back to the people that asked me to speak and get some answers for them. So if you can help me out, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to make public comment? All right, does anyone wish, we're moving on to consent agenda, does anyone wish to have any item added or removed from the consent agenda? All right, without objection or request for the addition or removal of a specific item from the consent agenda for individual consideration, we will act on the following items with a single vote. With respect to section 3.1, August 28, 2025 regular meeting minutes, and 3.2, August 2025 financial report. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
That passes.
Thank you. As we move through tonight's agenda, I'd like to ask commissioners to keep comments to 3 minutes per item with 1 opportunity to speak on each item. If there are matters that require additional follow-up from staff and cannot be addressed immediately, those items may be tabled by a majority board vote to a future meeting. It's important that we respect the time of our community, staff, and fellow commissioners while ensuring our discussions stay focused on board-level decisions that best serve our community. At this time, we're moving on to presentations, and would appreciate it if Mr. Katulis and Mr. Crocker could make a presentation on the 2026 to 2030 long-range plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Gibson. This is the first of 3 presentations where we will discuss the 2026 budget request. The long-range capital plan is the, I'd like to call it the umbrella over which the rest of the budget fits. It sort of informs the rest of the budget process. By determining what our long-range needs are, it helps us develop our operating requests for the year and what we're going to need in the next few years. Just for a couple of notes for future reference, the next presentation will be October 9th, where we will discuss recreation and the enterprise funds. And then our third budget presentation will be October 23rd, where we discuss administration, the corporate fund, and the other special non-operating funds. All right, so having said that, I'm going to start off on the long-range capital plan here. A couple of points to note. Major capital projects often span multiple years. I think the best example we can see is the golf course project that was finished last year. It took 2 years to do. Another example would be the outdoor tennis courts, which is going to run into the spring of next year. It's important to have these funds allocated so they can roll over each fiscal year so that we have the money available for the projects as we need them. By securing the full funding at the start of the project, we eliminate any uncertainty or insecurity for money going forward. And it is important to note that only the 2026 fiscal year budget is up for approval by the Board of Commissioners. The rest is for long-term planning purposes. Excuse me. All right. The next slide is an examination of our alternative revenue bond sources and uses. These are the various bond issuances we've made for Elder and Centennial, the lakefront projects. And you can see over the past few years what's been spent and what we have remaining. I will point out there are a few other.
Top button.
Thank you. Other renovations, we have a bullet point here that refers to the Nick Corwin Park in 22-23, the Hubbard Woods Park project this year, and for next year we have work slated for the Tower Road Playground, the Hubbard Woods Pavilion Building, and the AC Nielsen Tennis Center. But due to the space constraints on the slide, we've aggregated those in the other renovations line. As of today, we have a balance of over $6 million in our bond funds for future projects. And you'll see our 2026 request includes a proposed $3 million donation to the Elder Centennial Lakefront projects, and the overall budget for the projects of $15,128,952. And then the other renovations, which I alluded to a few moments ago, giving us our total expenditures of a little over $15,690,000. This next slide discusses our operating funds and our reserves. You'll see at the top of each fund where we started the year 2025, where we expect to end the year. It's a year-end estimate, and then how it fits into the 26 budget request. A couple of points I'd like to make on the year-end estimates. Again, these are making some assumptions. One of the assumptions we made here in the corporate fund is that we will receive the second installment of Cook County property tax allotment designated for this year. However, there has been no announcement made yet as to when that issue will be resolved or when those funds will be dispersed. As most of you probably know, the second installment bills haven't even gone out yet. It's usually about a month after that when they disperse the funds. As with a few years ago, this may roll into early 2026 before these funds are dispersed. I'm going to digress for just a moment and inform the board that we do have some long-term CDs at BMO Harris Bank with some of our reserve funds. I've moved those into shorter-term vehicles, short-term certificates, so if we do need to tap into those funds, we can do that fairly quickly. So we have reserves on tap if these tax disbursements are not made in a timely fashion. I just want to reassure the board in that respect. All right, moving on to the next slide. This is a summary of our major and operating capitals for 2026. This is broken down by fund. You'll see the various funds have certain dollar amounts allocated to them. And then the next 4 years, what we anticipate we'll need for operating and major capitals at the various funds. Now, the golf fund does not have anything in the next 4 years. We have not gotten any long-term projections from Kemper Sports, and we expect them to address that particular issue when they're presenting at the next meeting on October 9th, which is why you're seeing zeros for golf. It's not that we don't have any long-term capitals planned, it's just that we haven't had any conversations with Kemper on those particular items. All right, at that point, I'm going to turn it over to Costa, who will go into more detail on the various funds and the capital projects.
Thank you, Jim. For
through the capital funds, I'll go through the different awards, starting with the 200 award and then working all the way through the major capitals 3700. We'll go through each one of them specifically as far as budget year request 2026. If there's questions that you have in regards to closeout for 25, in regards to our assumptions or broadcast forecasting for 27 and beyond, we can touch on those points. But to keep things moving this evening and with light of the larger agenda, we're going to look at 26 because that's what we're going to be looking for you to approve come December is the 2026 budget. The items allocated for 27 and beyond are of course the assumptions based on our current our tracks and streams that we've been working with, repairs and so forth. Next year, one of the items you'll see for 26, of course, is the master plan for the Skokie Playfield site, as well as the EA transition plans, which I'm sure those will yield some fruit that will require some also additional tracking forward as we continue to progress. This also takes assumptions that certain projects are going to be going online. One is a development project for platform tennis. They have a very good, they're striving towards coming back to the board to present their new design and also the funding and allocations for that. So right now there's assumptions being made for the capital improvements to the facility that is needed in the upcoming years are put on hold or deferred if that doesn't come to fruition. Those things that need to be moved forward as well. So just a couple things to keep food for thought as we continue to progress through the different works. General fund capital, of course, right now, as I mentioned, the larger one is the Skokie Playfield master plan. As coming off the comp master plan, that was the next thing that was identified, this campus and the needs for this campus, so that's where those fundings are, or that funding is suggested. As well as flooring, that is actually the flooring that you see in here and goes through the vestibule area. That's a split 80-20 between the 2,000 and 1,000 work. General parks and maintenance, so the 300 fund. You'll notice here that the allocations for this, there's a couple different things. One thing that we did these year 26 and moving forward is the cost associated with pump repairs for the usage of the pumps. That's primarily shared between parks and golf. So we've identified that as something that we should have you guys splitting the cost of those repairs as well with Kemper Sports since they are managing that facility as part of that. So you'll notice some of the tracking here. As you saw previously, fuel pumps, 15,000, estimated repair 15,000. There's repairs that we had to do to the existing system. We had budgeted 8,000 for the cathodic. You'll notice that that is a split for our golf maintenance from 2026 plus. And you'll see that carry into fuel system repairs as a standard line item for 7,500 on the 300 account garage side, as well as that will be matched by a $7,500 assessed capital cost for the golf maintenance in the 2,100 account as well, but that will be forthcoming. Short of that, we have a hot water heater for the Parks Maintenance Center, so we're projecting capitals for the 300 award for next year to be $20,500. Parks maintenance, you'll see this carry over to two different slides. Once again, we have tuck pointing work over at Crow Island. We have survey work as we've been working through our property file. Everybody knows and understands we're going to be working through the ones that are missing to get our files back up to speed. So we're going to be ticking off a few of those each and every year. So you'll see a common theme of about 4 or 5 of those each given year. Survey, button. Survey again here for Dwyer Park for 15,000. Glencoe Park, you'll see 30,000 for surfacing here. We deferred the actual renovation of the site because the surfacing is what's failing right now. The park playground equipment is still in good shape, so we're going to defer that out to get better use and more life out of that. As we carry down, paving for the Green Bay Trail, you'll see that runs through 2028. 2028 is the year when we actually end our agreement with the village, so there'll have to be some consideration as we ramp up to that agreement coming to its end. But right now we are projecting to do the repairs, or in this case the continued replacement of the asphalt paving all the way out to the north side of the trail as we have been tracking and trending. Green Bay Trail also has some fixtures. Fixtures are garbage cans, benches, and things of that nature. Once again, keeping in theme with our constant of Victor Stanley for we have throughout the organization. Hubbard Woods, we have Drinking Fountain Park Pavilion painting, and then you'll see siding repairs as well. That's something that facility is probably one of our heaviest used venues, and it's a lot of eyes. It's come to Fort Cook Paint,
And unfortunately, because of the install of the original design for the fiber cement siding where it's a shingle form, kids find it rather pleasurable to crack those off and break them. So we're gonna change that a little bit to hopefully make it a little bit more vandal-proof as we continue on. Other improvements for the 400 account, we have Indian Hill Park Shelter, some HVAC work on furnaces, and then some pictures on furnishings. Station Park, we have a couple things. The largest item that you'll see here is $30,000. This is something that was put in as a placeholder while we start some conversations with the Village of Winnetka due to the amount of, I'll say, traffic that we see through the park, not by design, but unfortunately by accident. With the curvature of the road, we've had more than our fair share of people that make their way into the park, and we are looking at an opportunity to correct that as far as suppression measure to prevent that from happening in the future. In case it's during peak time, there's kids out there or patrons, what have you, this is a good way to address that concern. But that isn't going to be a discussion that Shannon will have with the village manager and talk through ways that we can potentially work together on that item. Other thing you'll see is equipment replacement. There's $4,500 here noted for number 12. 12 is currently a 2006 F-150. It's our garbage truck, if you will. That's the one that probably sees the most idle time of any of our trucks. It goes out literally every day. And then the last piece here, we have a pressure washer rig that we have noted. That's something new we're looking to add to our fleet. This would be a unit, basically a palletized unit that we can put in the back of our vehicles and our dump trucks to basically clean not only graffiti and things of that nature, but also unsightly areas that need to be pressure washed due to dirt and brine and so forth. Being able to have a hot water unit out there is going to be great amenity to keep the parks looking neat and fresh. And the last one is a placeholder we have for unseen for capitals. Since I've been here, we always carry about $15,000 for unforeseen capitals. There's years that we use it, there's years that we don't. As you can see this year, we're not anticipating to use those dollars, but we are carrying that as we move forward. So total for the request for parks is $290,000. A little bit lower from the $406 that was budgeted, where we're anticipating to close out at $363. So we're still trending in that direction. You'll see those trends start to go down as we continue on. Moving into rec administration, 1,000 accounts. You'll notice here request $70,000 for windows. You might ask yourself, why is there two requests back to back? The $35,000 that was originally allocated for the windows, that is basically the offices directly behind us here, we utilize those funds to help offset the cost of the new audiovisual system in this room. So we use that to offset for that, and then we got harder quotes for the complete package that we needed for that. Numbers at $68,000 and change. We put $70,000 in as a placeholder. Community room flooring, once again, this is the other half of that 80-20 split that we saw before. And then seal coating for the parking lot as well. That's divvied out many accounts. You'll see that as a common theme between tennis, admin, golf, ice as well. So capitals for the 1,000 account admin is $88,800. Okay. Recreation capitals for programming, right now we don't have anything on the books, but one thing that we just want to make sure that we are tracking as well. Moving on to the 1,200 account, athletic fields. We have two called out here. One is dugout screens. Those are the UV protection that we put on top of the dugouts themselves. We do for replacement, and then also fencing replacement. The fencing replacement is to address some of the areas of the chain link throughout this complex here. Unfortunately, it is what it is. A lot of the kids utilize that fencing as a backstop for practicing, taking the balls, the cross balls, and so forth. If you're out there and you see the fencing, it'll kind of get like blown out, if you will, or it's stretched beyond its capability. It becomes loose, it becomes a safety hazard. The only way to really fix that is to replace it, unfortunately. So you'll see $30,000 in here. We're going to do as much as we can with that. The larger number was nearly $100,000 to redo all the fencing, and that's basically just new fabric. So that's something we're watching, but we want to make sure that we're hitting the bad spots and being, our fiscal responsibility of where we truly need to spend versus just addressing for aesthetic needs as well. So currently, right now, we're projecting a $34,000 budget for the 2026. will do note that we did allocate $50,000 to replace the Cromer unit, which is our ball field rake system. We decided that with the new turf, it's not needed. Our system will work with that. Our current unit, I should say, will work with that. So we've rehabbed it, put some sweat equity into it, new brushes, new tines and so forth. So we're gonna be able to repurpose that for many a year. So that's not projected for the next 5 years. Lakefront programs, this is the sailing program right now. With that in the current state that it is, there's no need for any lessons for that programming. Beaches, you'll go ahead and see a couple of more of those common themes again. You'll see 2 surveys, one for Tower, one for Maple, totaling about $60,000. And then the resetting of some of the pavers of Tower on the upper bluff. That needs to be done as well. In addition to that, looking at Elder, we have some paving, $20,000 earmarked. With the current state of where we're at with the project and the timeline, and as we continue to progress down that front, the infrastructure and the wear and tear on our facilities keeps getting worse and worse. We had initially talked about potentially redoing the entire parking lot and doing a grind and repave. Once again, not knowing the future of that site, we want to be more wise with our dollars. So we did identify $20,000 to patch the bad areas, because that parking lot does get a lot of wear and tear, not only from our patrons over the summer, but then also new triers as well. So we did allocate $20,000 for that.
Costa, what's it cost to redo the whole thing, it's big?
For grind and remill, we put that number around 75 to 80.
To redo the whole thing?
That would be a grind and new asphalt topper, so basically a new 2-inch coat. The parking lot truly needs new curb and gutter and drainage too, and that would be addressed as part of the larger package. That would increase that cost probably by another $30,000 or so. The other items you'll see in here is there's $10,000 for pavers at Centennial. Once again, being mindful of where those dollars are being spent. This is the upper area of the walkway, the paver walkway that connects the south to north portion of that area that will be very minimally affected by construction. If you've walked that, you know how it's settled out. The $10,000 is allocated to bring in a third party to basically reset all those pavers and true them up. So that's what that's for. And then you'll see between this account, the 1,500 org and the 1,600 org, you'll see $70,000 split for the large tractor. The large tractor is a New Holland unit that we have. If memory serves, I want to say it's about a 2005 unit. That pulls our H. Barber sand cone that basically cleans our beaches. It takes all the aggregate out, sticks, debris, garbage, what have you. We did replace the launch tractor this year. We're expecting that still this fall. So they are 2 different units, not to get confused. So that is in there for place for 2026 as now as a placeholder. And then you'll see we have a placeholder of $12,000. And that's as pumps need to be repaired, so we can move on those for the, those pumps are for the sewage system along the lakefront beaches. All of the different sites along Sheridan Road that have bathrooms, they are below the sanitary system, and that waste needs to be pumped up to Parkland and to flow into the sanitary system. So that's what that's for. So right now we're budgeting $142,000 for those capitals. Boat launch, you'll see the survey again. This is Lloyd. So that would be Tower, Lloyd, and Maple would be completed on our lakefront as far as surveys. And then you'll also see the other half of that large tractor payments of $70,000 splits. You'll see the 35 there. So combined for the 1,600 org, there's $70,000 allocated. As Jim mentioned earlier, both the 2,000 and 2,100 account will be covered. I believe it was with the October 9th meetings. So you'll see Kemper Sports come and present on those findings, not only their normal operating budgets, but also the capitals that go along with the course improvements or new equipment requests at that time. So you'll see that for this one, as well as the course maintenance. Moving on to platform tennis, 2,300 org. You'll see basically court painting. We put the rotation of the courts as far as the color coat that goes on those courts into rotation. So you'll see that earmarked here for 26, and then coming back up again in the LRP in 2029. What you will also see is in 2027, there's about $291,000 worth of capitals. One of those large numbers is $180,000 for the decks and the railings. If the court or the construction project doesn't move forward with Winnetka Platform Tennis, that's something that we're gonna have to do. We are on borrowed time, we've band-aided that together as much as we can. We are trying to repair that as best we can, but the infrastructure is tired, all the joist hangers and everything are metal. We salt those decks, it's Trex platform, it's a bad scenario. So moving forward, we have a better design idea on how to address that, but the infrastructure is tired. It's original from the last iteration of the build out. So we just, once again, be aware that that is being as a placeholder for now, but if the construction comes to fruition, that would be dropped along with some of the other improvements there as well. They would be part of the new package for the construction, okay? 2024 outdoor, there's no further there for the windscreens. You'll notice that the construction itself are major capital items, so that's not listed here. Indoor tennis, you'll see here, items listed out for 2026. Doors and windows, this is taking into consideration the center flagstaff or the or storefront behind the flag and the flagstaff there. Basically, that entire glass storefront, along with the interior, the door front that goes to the quarter, would be replaced for that budget item. That would complete the renovation as far as all doors and windows for the project. This year, we're executing on all the windows, through the rest of the windows, as well as the back ADA door that was brought up through the COP master plan that was identified. This is taking into consideration the last piece of that. That also includes the reglazing of court four gallery windows as well. The other item on here, again, is that seal coating number that I mentioned. That's part of that four-piece budget, if you will, that comes together for the entire total cost on that. The tennis shack is also slated here to get a new AC unit. So the total capitals for next year for indoor tennis, a little over 100,000, 100,500. As we move into the 2700 org, the ice arena, you'll see here that we have a few things slated. Once again, the seal coating, that's part of that. Sound system replacement, from what I understand, this is the sound system that's actually in the lobby area and throughout. The gist of the sound system throughout for the show and everything has already been completed, and the second phase of that work was done this year, and that's what the additional $15,000 is there. There's also a new water chiller that's being installed throughout there, as well as a storage shed to help supplement some of the storage needs for the different programs that they run out of that facility. So $63,000 is allocated for next year. And then you'll see a couple larger capitals as we get to major capitals, new sheet of ice, dehumidifier chillers, when we get to 3,700. Those are coming up in the upcoming years along with the roof, so just be aware. Special rec, the 3,100 account. You might wonder why we had budgeted $200,000 and didn't expend any of that. Of course, that was slated to go along with the construction of Elder Centennial and offset the cost of some of those ADA upgrades to render that cost or render that project complete. We have identified two things for ADA for 2026. The Tower Road Playground, the surfacing needed in that site to make it compliant is about approximately $150,000. So that's where we're going to be looking to pull those dollars from, is the funds in the 3,100 account, as well as the ADA transition plan that I mentioned earlier. We're looking to exhaust that out of that account as well. That's a nice caveat because these are dollars that are set aside through the budget for these kind of purchases. So this isn't coming out of our reserves, if you will. It's coming out of that 3,100 account that is set aside for these types of projects. And last but not least, major capitals. So you'll see in the first line here is Elder Centennial bonds, donation and transfer funds, as Jim spoke over earlier. The budget for 2025 was $15,800 and change. Estimated for 2025 is $677. That's closeout of some of the projects that or some of the fees that we've incurred to date, as well as the projects that we took on for the cleanup and what we anticipate to close out for this year. Approximately $677,000. Once again, that's an estimated amount based on what we project to spend for the remainder of this fiscal year. That basically reduced the overall total to $15,128,000 and change that we're budgeting once again for 2026. As Jim mentioned early on, we're looking to budget for the entirety of the capitals and the duration of those capitals as well. This is a a project that keeps on giving, so we'll continue to budget for that until we get direction otherwise. So that's going to continue on through there. Elder Lake Playground, you'll see, once again, based on where we anticipate construction for the project, we bumped that out to 2027 from 2026 previously, so we're holding it there. And then Tower Road Playground, as we discussed already, the $300,000 that we had originally allocated for the playground, we've upped that to include the surfacing to make sure that it's completely accessible to $450,000. So $300,000 will be coming out of the capital 3700 account, where the other $150,000 will be earmarked out of the 3100 account. So that's just something to note. Hubbardwood surfacing, as we closed out 2025, came in under budget. The siding, once again, because of the cost, is a major capital. We talked about that earlier. You'll see Skokie Playfield synthetic turf. Once again, the $1.4 million. We're going to be right at budget with that. A little bit over, but we got those funds donated for the recycling that was requested by the board from the Parks Foundation, so that's why we've got that noted there. The next large project you'll note is the court lighting. Of course, the $188,500 earmarked for that. And then as we move forward with the renovations itself, the $1,329,000 is based on the project with the 10% contingency. Right now, we are holding true to the project cost. Right now, we did come up with a few things, or few things were discovered. We're probably going to be about $6,000 into that contingency, so we're tracking fairly well. The other items on here, you'll see the window replacement. Once again, we had budget 120, coming in about 102, so under budget there. And then the other 82, which we talked about earlier, for the replacement of the storefront and the reglazing of the windows for Gallery 4. So all in all, capitals, we had budgeted $19,274,104 for the budget of 2025. We are going to be expending $3,701,282 of that year. Once again, those are projections based on our current understanding of the projects. And on our request for next year is $15,690,952. That brings us to a close for the LRP presentation. Once again, this is the framework that drives some of the other items, so you'll hear more come the 9th and the 23rd. But if there's any questions that I can answer for you this evening, I'd be glad to.
Commissioner Rapp? Commissioner Rapp?
Thank you, Osenda. Am I good with my microphone camera, just like that? Okay. Thank you very much for putting this together. Thank you also for including the 2025 estimate. That's really helpful information, and hopefully we'll see that for all the sections. I had a couple questions. I just thought that there was money allocated for a sustainability plan. Is that in the capital's budget, or will that be appearing somewhere else?
Did we put that out to 27?
We pushed that out to 27. Yeah, the
Yeah.
two major plans we're undertaking that we understand was the ADA transition plan as well as the Skokie Playfield master plan. I think the alignment of part of that was discussed with the onboarding of additional staff to support that, and that those would potentially coincide or potentially be able to be managed by that new personnel.
And which section will that be in? Parks maintenance, or
I'm assuming
rec,
that would
or
probably be
general
like
admin?
200 word or combination of a couple of words.
Probably, I mean, it would probably be something in 200 under corporate.
So does it appear in the in this plan for 2027?
It's not in there as far as forecasted, yes,
Okay.
because that's something that we haven't discussed in regards to completing that. So it's not been in there as a placeholder at this time.
Okay, so is that something that will be added when we talk about it further in the strategic plan?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. The other question that I wanted to put out is related to the major capital projects, so it might be helpful to just pull up that slide.
Drive down to it.
Cool.
That's the last slide.
There you go.
Okay. In 2029, there is a line item for LED light upgrade for the Skokie Playfields. And I had just wanted to put out the question to other board members to see if there is interest in maybe pulling that into 2026. There are several reasons that I think that this could be advantageous. With the tennis project, we are putting in dark sky compliant lighting, which Pat Fergazzi had talked about. And so we will have that in the tennis courts, so that's a good thing. I don't know how many commissioners have driven past this complex at night, but it is very bright between the lights from golf, the lights from platform, the lights around the turf field, the lights in back of the building to light up some of the other fields. It is very bright. And so I think that when we put in the dark sky compliant lighting for the tennis, that's going to be great, but I think it might also have the impact of we've painted one room or half the room and then the other half looks not quite right. Additionally, there has been, for a few meetings of the EFC, some comments about consideration or starting to think about dark skies ordinance. And we throw off a lot of light pollution from this complex. And I think that to the extent that we can be ahead of that, being a good neighbor, that is an important thing. We've significantly added programming at night with our affiliates and other rentals. We now have winter lacrosse. So the field is lit up many days of the year, and at times where it was not previously lit up, and it is impacting, I think, the quality of life in the surrounding areas. So I just wanted to see if there's appetite to consider moving that into 2026.
From a maintenance standpoint, if I can make a few comments. The lamps, we just went under a warranty review and we got all our fixtures, all the high pressure sodiums re-lamped under warranty for free. So we're good from a maintenance standpoint for another 5,000 plus hours. So for a cost standpoint, as far as incurring fees or costs in regards to maintenance, we'll be good to 2028, in lieu of, knock on wood, any kind of issues that came up. And the programming and the design has been fairly turnkey. We haven't had a lot of issues. The other thing I'd like to note real quick is opportunities for grants. This would only be internal because we are not eligible for ComEd grants in regards to energy reductions and so forth. We only could work through the IMEA. We currently just were approved for up to $30,000 credit back for lighting over at tennis. Our next eligibility for that program with the village typically is every third year. Once again, that would align for our project in 2028. That was also another thing that allowed us to earmark that timeline for 2028. So those are just a couple of food for thoughts. Right now, we're earmarked to get $30,000 back on our project for the tennis center. Once again, if we, as it's been designed and we put it in as the plan exists, we should be able to get that money. We've been earmarked that from the village. They've authorized that, so that's trending well. That would be another opportunity for us to get funding back through that program. So just a few things to think about.
Just a question, is that why the lights look so much brighter now, is because they were just replaced under maintenance?
They do have a tendency to dull out a little bit. It depends on what time of the year that you're looking with the foliage and stuff too. As the closer we get to the fall, the better chance that you have of getting more bleed through with the trees because there's less leaves and so forth, but yeah.
I still feel like we have the potential to be out ahead on this with being more friendly to our neighbors with our late hours and increased usage at night, so.
Are there any other commissioners that would like to comment or question? Commissioner Root?
I had the pleasure of speaking with the executive director today about this issue and was informed about the IMEA grant. But I certainly support Commissioner Rapp's thoughts here, particularly when we have a village that is now has a sustainability manager. I wondered if perhaps we could talk to the village about maybe having an additional bite at the apple for IMEA money, if we could take the opportunity to have more energy-friendly lighting and added for the playfield. Again, as Park District, I think we want to really focus on these issues and be a front runner. So support Commissioner Rack's comments.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for COSA? Yes. Commissioner Seaman.
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you for the document. I think our budget process is a fantastic process. It's very transparent. So I want to thank you, Jim, and obviously the business leaders for putting thought into this. You guys are the experts. So thank you. And just one comment. There had been, I believe, some comments in previous meetings about, geez, our operating profits are really big. The reason that we have a substantial operating profit is so that we can pay for operating capitals and to some degree, major capitals. So when I look at our operating capitals and majors away from Elder Centennial, our operating profit needs to be about, across all funds, needs to be about $3 million before operating capitals and majors X Elder Centennial. So I love the detail, I love the thought. You know a lot about this district. Timing is very important in terms of these projects, because there's only so much you and your team can manage. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions for COSTA on this? Commissioner Root?
Hopefully this didn't, supporting Commissioner Rapp didn't add to my 3-minute time limit, but if it did, I'll be concise. As we're looking at lighting, and I've brought this up 2 prior years, I'll bring it up for the 3rd. Dwyer Park for special events at night is very, very dark. And I really don't know if we as Park District have satellite lighting that we can bring in for special events. I'm thinking particularly of the Christmas tree lighting. You know, I understand that the village is primarily responsible for that, but in looking back at the original plan, it looked like there was an intent to do additional lighting that was, I guess we'd call it ballard lighting, so it wouldn't bother the surrounding residential neighborhood. I have a question as to whether that was ever installed. And again, what we can do when we have nighttime events at Dwyer to increase lighting so that our public is safe. I worry every year that a child is going to be lost or snatched because it's so dark. So this is kind of extraneous, but as long as we're talking about money,
Sure.
I thought it would be a good thing to raise.
So the lighting plan that you noted for the Ballard lights was included and it's installed on site. The sidewalk that runs the length of the park, north to south, adjacent to the post office parking lot, does have ballards. I don't know the exact distance, I'll say every 50 feet. Once again, the park is not designed to be an after hours park. It follows our park code where the parks close at dusk. It's recommended. I think the actual park hours do go to 10 o'clock for the actual ordinance, but for the most part, it's safety lighting and site lighting. Also, the gazebo that's out there has lighting in there, and that's on essentially all the time. So there is plenty of light. I would agree that there are opportunities for special events. In the past, we've held that same tree lighting ceremony at a different site, Station Park, directly adjacent to Green Bay Road. Same concerns there. It was moved for safety concerns, parking, and so forth. We have included in the past some additional lighting for that event or that evening. In the last 2 years, we've actually upped that a little bit further. We've installed basically what are 10-foot tall PVC pipes that run, I'll say patio lighting is probably the most easy way for people to understand, and we stream that through the park site. So we definitely lit it more. You take away from the intent of what the event is of a tree lighting. If we bring out large lightings as we have, on our, some of our supplementary fields, or we have our special events, you're not going to be able to illuminate the tree. So it's a balance of the intent of the use of that and what have you. We do our best to manage the site. We use trip areas for all of our cords. We use rugs where they're smaller cords and so forth. We can only do as much. We try to manage the best we can. We want to make sure that we're managing this forward with course agreements and certificates of insurance, but that's just my 2 cents. The board gives direction to staff that they want to do something above and beyond, more than willing to. This is an event from the chamber that is co-founded by the village, so we would just kind of pass those requests on to in this case, those 2 parties that are putting on the event and say that, hey, part of the requirement for the agreement, we would suggest or require additional lighting. In regards to park lighting year-round, when we did go through the initial special use, there was quite some outreach by the neighbors. We hear it all the time, less is more. We're hearing it tonight with these neighbors around here, trying to once again redirect the photometrics, kind of soften that approach. I'm sure we would hear the same thing, just inverse, so it's a balance. So just tell us how you'd like to strike that balance and we'll work with you.
Thank you for your
Discussion.
Thank you. Is that tied up right now for this item? Looks like it does. All right. We are now moving on to, Costa, I think you're back up. For the Elder and Centennial Park and Beach Project update, please.
So included in the packet for this agenda item, 5.1, a few things just to kind of note. Once again, as staff has been working through the process of the RFQ, we did have a pre-meeting this week. Tuesday, we held a conference, a pre-conference, anybody who would like to attend. We had 1 representative from GZA attend. So that RFQ process closes tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So we're curious to see what kind of vendors we have, or in this case, interested parties for that work. We'll circle back, go through the process, the review, qualifications, conduct interviews, and then bring forward a recommendation to the board at the October 23rd meeting. So that's forthcoming. So that was the first thing to kind of note. Other than that, the project for the Elder Lane Beach cleanup has been ongoing. Currently, as you are all well aware, the Park District completed our scope of work. The village has now completed their scope of work as far as the actual installation of materials. So the pipe is in, everything's done, they've worked their way back out. The last piece was a site walk that we conducted this Tuesday with the Village of Winnetka. There's one last piece that has to be complete before we can take the fencing down and open the site back up. We had to remove a portion of the hand railing that goes down to the beach. You might remember that's kind of parallel to the shoreline for the excavators and the equipment to actually get down onto the beach. So they were waiting for the final walkthrough to make sure there wasn't no reason to bring any machinery back in before they made that final repair. That repair is scheduled to happen, from what I understand, this afternoon on Saturday. So that'll be welded in place, complete. And then we'll look to get that fencing down and reopen as soon as we can. Whether it's open for Sunday or it's first thing Monday, I can't tell you at this moment, but we will drive to get that done as fast as we can. In addition to that, I'd also like to note that the 2 manholes that were part of the stormwater system, you might remember that the top of those structures that were brick and mortar built were failing. The village staff went ahead while the park was closed under their project to go ahead and make those repairs, so those have been completed as well. So we're closing out the job site. One thing that we want to note, though, 2 things as it relates to that project, we're looking for more specific board direction on this, of course, is the request to remove and pull back the fencing for the project. We definitely understand the objective for the parkland up top, but we never really addressed the pier structure itself. So we wanted to bring that back to the board this evening for discussion. It's not something that needs a formal recommendation, but we just need to understand from majority of the board on how we'd like to proceed with that. So if we can get direction on that, that would be fantastic. So we can go ahead and either remove the fencing or keep it in place, whatever the board determines. We will still make sure that the no diving signs are freshened up. We've been freshening up those throughout the course of the year, so people understand that that is not a permitted activity off of that pier, but just something else to think about. And the other item I'd like to make sure we can address this evening is water quality testing and the money that we're spending for that. Now that repair has been completed, do we want to scale that back to once a week? Do we want to scale that for maybe 30 days post-construction and then stop? Do we want to stop it altogether? Direction on how you'd like the staff to proceed on that front as well. So those are two items that I'd love to get some clarification from the board this evening on how to address. And then we can further in a couple other items in regards to special use and the follow-up for the IDNR letters and public comment. So.
And what I would mention too about the pier structure is that the village is still working on securing a structural integrity study to make sure that when they went on the pier with the equipment, that the pier is still structurally sound. So we are, we don't want people to be up on that pier if we don't know what the integrity of that is. So that's one of the main reasons too, to look at seeing if we can keep that piece of fence on top of the pier for the time being.
Shannon, thank you.
Would any commissioners like to ask questions or make comments with COSTA? Commissioner Cota?
Definitely not removing the fencing on the pier until after the structural integrity assessment, number one.
Yep.
And with regards to water quality testing, I think we turn that over to the village. I think we discontinue that. It's not a swimming beach. It's not going to be a swimming beach. I think we discontinue that until next season, at which point if it is a swimming beach, it reverts to the village's responsibility, correct?
We've been informed by the village that they will restart the testing during swim season for swimming beaches.
Okay.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Root?
I just have a question. Costa, when we're talking about fencing, the lateral fencing that's on the boundaries, that will be removed?
The orange construction fencing?
Yes, the orange
Yes.
construction.
Once the handrail is
Okay.
repaired, those two units will be coming off along with the barricades.
So if anyone
as well as the
walks,
top.
wants to walk at the high water mark, they're gonna
Correct.
be able to do that now.
Correct.
That's so great. I wanna thank you and staff and our consultants for all of the work in not only cleaning up Elder, but also the debris out of Centennial. I've had so many comments from people just so thankful that this has occurred. And they're very, very happy about it. So that should make us happy. Then as far as water testing, do you think maybe it might be a good idea to continue to test the water, let's say, for the next month, and then once a month thereafter? The only reason is we've had problems and issues with contamination, and now that the village has, their new stormwater pipe, it'd be interesting just to have some data and history, and as to whether there's been any impact. Just a
Yeah, no.
question.
Yeah, no, looking for the board to get direction, yeah.
Commissioner Seaman?
I'm kind of, the more information, the better on water testing. But there is a cost. So I don't even know what it is, but
It's in the packet.
It's about $1,000 a week,
$1,000 a week.
plus half time.
Gosh,
It's expensive.
I don't want to do
And
it
we
every
paid
week.
for it.
I mean, I would leave it to, listen, water quality has been an issue at Elder for the lots of different reasons for lots of years.
Yep.
I'm sure there's something that we can settle on. I don't believe a lot of people are getting in the water this time of year. Maybe they are. So perhaps at $1,000 a week, it can be.
Once a month?
Maybe it can be pushed off till next year, and the village can then hopefully test it on a regular basis so they can learn, and we can be open and honest with the public about, well, is it better than some of those wacky readings we got for after storms? And then number two, regarding the fence, is it only because of the structural integrity question on the pier? Is that why we want to leave the fence up?
For me, it is.
Okay, so I mean, I'm in support, listen, I don't, it'd be terrible to have someone out there and not have it pass the structural integrity issue. So I would be in support of leaving the fence up until we get some type of clarity on that.
Yep.
Commissioner Raft, did you have a question or comment?
One, thank you. I feel like the testing has been hugely valuable over the course of the summer. It enabled us to identify some water quality issues and address them with the appropriate entities responsible. I see that the Beach Guard data is up to date online through the end of August. Do we have the data for the last month to see how it's looking? Because that obviously would inform us. I have seen a lot of separate work, as everyone has, although not maybe with the same frequency that I have, since I drive down Sheridan like 4 times a day, back and forth to New Trier. But there is still a lot of like stormwater project work by other entities ongoing on Sheridan.
WRE is still cleaning, yes.
Yes, like right at Elder. So I'm just wondering if it,
We're working at Elder, and they're starting to work south of Elder now.
okay, and just, do we know when they're going to be completely south of Elder?
But they are currently working south of Elder. There was a truck there the other day that you noticed. They were checking on, basically, there's a balloon in there to make sure that the two systems don't intermingle. As they work through their plan, as I understand, they're going to be doing some lining of the system as well. So once all that's complete, I couldn't tell you if that's 2 weeks, 60 days, 3 months, I don't know. So I know it's ongoing for some time still, so.
So my sense is it might make sense to continue doing our testing until that's concluded, and then maybe bring our testing back a couple weeks before beach season so that we're not having people swimming and then surprised. The other subtlety is the village testing is the CFU method. It's not the CCE method, which I think has been more accurate and has enabled us to get faster readings when we think that there could be beach problems. So
Well,
I
we
think
would
saying, okay, the
still-
village is gonna just take care of it is a little.
We would still be able, once we get into swim season, and it just depends on the vendor, on the type of readings that they use.
Okay.
So currently, so what we have done through this past season is we've used multiple vendors because of the timeframes in order to get some of those results. So we still have the availability to use the rapid testing. So say the village does a reading and July 3rd, it comes back awful, and then July 4th, it looks like a perfect day outside, the water's crystal clear, and we wanna make sure that, on a super busy day, that we can retest it if it looks fine, to see if we can give folks some of the day back. So we still have that capability to do that. We still have that use of that vendor. It's more expensive, but it's kind of the, it's mainly for those rapid purposes, but not on a regular daily basis, if everything is.
Okay, so we'll still anticipate using the village for the regular daily
Yes.
testing, the CFU, slow, culture the water approach.
The
with
24-hour test
variability.
versus the 4-hour
Yeah.
test.
Versus the 4-hour
Yes.
test, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in summary, I mean, I would say let's continue testing until that work is done, especially knowing that the village has upgraded the brick and mortar work? I mean, in theory, it should.
That has
look-
nothing to do with
It's,
this.
It doesn't at the entry point?
no, the brick and mortar is the
It's
tops.
the one that's on the
manhole
south side of the
covers
block that
on
was
the
repaired.
North side of the beach house.
Correct,
Okay,
beach
I was
house.
thinking it was the
Yeah.
elder side.
Yeah.
Where, okay,
Yeah,
so anyway, I still think until.
Stormwater
that work
side,
is
not
done,
cemetery.
For the fence, I mean, I definitely think the structural integrity, check needs to be done. But I think that the public will be delighted to have access to the concrete area next to the beach house to look out and be able to walk along the sand instead of the beach chair and enjoy the lake and.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Tyson?
I just want to try out the new microphone. Actually, Commissioner Rapp, what I thought you were going to say, I was thinking something slightly different on the water testing. If they're doing work, they're kind of, the patient's open, they're stirring up the pot. How good are the readings that we get while they're actually doing the work? Don't we want to wait till they're done and everything's settled, and then we're kind of mirroring, I guess, what will happen ongoing from that point forward. So I would think it wouldn't be worth the money to continue to test while they're performing work. We wait till they're done, we wait till everything settles, and then look at results at that point.
Yeah, good point.
Fence, structural integrity, don't go near the pier.
Thank you, Commissioner Tyson? Yeah, Commissioner Corley, so that's the job. I said Tyson for him, and I was looking at him because I was trying to see if he wanted to talk.
Sure, yeah, just a practical comment on the testing. It sounds like there's times that we would want to test, like after a storm, immediately after the construction is done, and just take those samples. So maybe we just set a budget of like, we've got a punch card with 5 tests on it, and if we use those up, then, come back and ask for more, something easy like that. Towards the end of the season, Village is gonna take over next year. And then like Shannon said, if we have the ability to throw in a test when we care strongly about having an up-to-date test, then, that's great. I agree that it'd be great to know what the result of these changes are. And just by doing like opportunistic tests might be the thing. For the pier, is it like once that fence is down, is it open for access generally?
People would be able to go on
Yeah.
it. We do have the paint on it that says, no diving, and
Right,
all
right,
of
right.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But yes, it would be.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm good with the structural integrity plan.
I would just note 2 things real quick, one on each subject, and sorry to jump back in. Water quality testing, we've been conducting that both for Elder and Centennial. We've been doing Centennial once a week, and then we've been doing Elder 3 days a week now currently, and then we are supplementing with the rapid testing for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Since that contract has run its course, that has dropped, and now we're only testing currently Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Elder, and then Monday at Centennial. So I just want to clarify that discussion. Are we testing only Elder now, or are we going to continue testing weekly Elder and Centennial? I just want to understand that. And then as it relates to the fencing on the pier, similar to Maple at Elder, during the winter months when the pier would start to get icy, we put a chain across there and a placard that says no access beyond this point for safety. We would still continue with that protocol for safety reasons because of the slippery surface. Once it starts splashing down there, it freezes up, it's basically an ice rink and you can go right off of that. So we'll continue with that, but the fencing itself related to the opening of the pier, post-structural review, I just want to clarify that.
All right. So I feel that testing, once the work has been completed by the village with cleaning out the sewers up top and everything.
It's third party, it's not the
Well,
village doing
it's-
the work, but yes.
Oh, it's NWRD, that's right. So once NWRD finishes their work, that's when I would like to see what the results are, because I feel like as they're blowing through pipes and stuff like that, we could get some debris in, so it's not gonna be useful reading. It would be if it was still swim season, but it's not. And then I'd like to see it, a few times
I don't think that we need to be doing rapid testing, maybe that would even,
We are not able to do
not,
that
no,
right now.
not right
We
now.
have to get another contract.
So, I'm in support of doing some testing. I think we need to give some direction on how much though, and do we want to adopt Commissioner Corley's idea of a five times, or what do we want to do here?
So if I could make a recommendation, so we have the funding to do the once a week.
Okay,
So that's already been budgeted because we have been doing it
Okay.
previously before we were given the direction to go more often. I would recommend, based on kind of what I've heard as far as the interest of the board, to continue testing, but maybe not as much. And looking at what we have, we're already doing, is looking at a once a week per location. So that way we can still continue with the vendors that we have. We don't have to do the rapid testing right now during the off season. We'll still be able to catch things, especially if we see something that's, if we see water that's not very clear,
Yeah.
we can, look at, okay, well, this is the day that we're going to test, that sort of thing. And I think that might be a way that we can go about doing it. And then possibly right before we get into swim season, if we wanted to ramp that up a little bit, just to make sure that we are super prepared for swim season before the village takes on that role. So we can have that data right before people are planning on getting in the water.
so are you recommending on testing through the winter?
If that is the purview of the board to make sure to,
Well, it sounds like losing a vendor might be an issue, I don't know.
it would, so the vendor for the rapid testing, we would just need a new contract
Okay.
with them. So we don't have that continuing right now for the rapid testing, but we would be able to re-up that contract, write a new contract to
Okay.
work with the university for that.
But for the weekly, is that a vendor that we want to keep?
Tech Lab is who we use, we have it currently, we have it budgeted out right now to run once a week through the calendar year, as Shannon indicated. That was
Right.
set by the board, we got about $3,200 left in that budget to expense out. So that would be for the 11 weeks to the end of the year, the cost.
Okay.
If you wanted to upscale that and continue the 3 days a week, that would triple the price, nearing the $10,000 number
Yeah,
that
I'm
Shannon
not hearing
indicated.
anyone
So-
say that, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree,
Right.
just started with
Right.
that.
I am in favor of commencing testing before the start of the swim season, so we have, a little bit of time to get things cleaned up if there's an issue. All right, Ed, let me think about how we should say this motion then. Okay, I'm sorry.
I just glanced at the centennial data for 2024, and there have been, like during the winter months, there were no troubling times, so.
Well, there aren't storms.
No, I know,
like
I'm just saying, the
rainstorms,
way that,
Right,
Yeah,
it all looks good.
right,
So,
good.
that
So,
would suggest maybe we don't need to test during the winter months.
okay. May I have a motion to direct staff to decrease water testing at Elder and Centennial Beach to once a week until 1 month prior to the 2026 swim season, and then to resume testing a week prior to the swim season?
To reduce it to once a week?
Yes. Because that's what the contract is for currently. And then to resume it 1 week prior to swim season.
And then as needed.
And then as needed thereafter on rapid testing basis. But I think we would do that.
So moved.
Second.
Hodo and Corley.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Corley?
Voting.
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes.
And Commissioner Gibson?
Yes.
2 other items still for that agenda item, just to finish up here. As we've been talking about the permitting for Elder Centennial, or excuse me, so used to saying Elder Centennial, for the Centennial temporary dog fencing, all the responses for the IDNR were submitted. Those have gone out, certified mail to all of the people who have provided comment. The comments for the U.S. Army Corps will go out either Monday or Tuesday, and those will be completed. So just be aware of that. We'll follow up with those agencies and see where things are tracking, and then hopefully within 60 days of that time frame, we should have a decision on how to move forward. The other thing I would like to note as well, park districts, or the park board also gives staff direction to move forward with special use permit for that Centennial temporary dog fencing. I've had quite a few conversations. We're working through the document right now. We're going to review that one last time. Well, not one last time, but with legal next, and then also help Frank, and then look to submit that next week. I know in the motion, or not motion, the agenda, I did note that we're going to have that submitted before this meeting. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that timeline, so I apologize, but we're going to get that out to the village next week. So I just wanted to make sure that expectations were clear and everybody understood where those 2 items were on the timeline.
Okay. Can I just backtrack for 1 second? We still need a motion on the fencing for the pier until the structural study has been completed. May I have a motion to direct staff to install the 1 section of fencing currently positioned across the Elder Lane Pier and return to the board once the village has completed the structural integrity study of the Elder Lane Pier for further consideration?
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Okay. Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The funding for currently on the project year to date is $108,977.30. The last fees incurred were for legal for the project. So that's included in the packets. We're also going to get any questions. All I got for that. Sorry.
Are we moving on to section 5.2?
It's all you.
Okay, I just want to make sure I know what I'm
You must have did.
I'm just looking for the right side.
You can't look at, she's the president now.
Okay, so as directed by the park board, staff has engaged with the Village of Winnetka Engineering Department in regards to the bluff cleanup, if you will. The initial meeting was had earlier this week. We met on site with the Director of Engineering, James Renault, along with the village forester, Andy Lewick, and talked through our anticipated plan of how to execute on that. The request from the board was to understand the permit process and what the park district would have to do to complete that work to get it basically get it done. So the initial meetings have been conducted. So that was the park district having a request for a meeting to review the project site and scope. The next step of work is for the park district to submit their formal plans to the village for their review. That review would go through 2 parties. One, the village and their internal review, which would be basically forestry to look through the trees that would be allocated for removals. And then at the same time, submit to their coastal consultant, Baird and Associates, to review and come back with any questions or concerns or anything that would need to be addressed by staff. If there is nothing that needed to be done by staff, then we can go ahead and formally submit the applications for tree removals. They would be approved, and then we can commence with the work. So that would be the permitting timeline for that. The physical construction timeline, we would have to amend our current plans to reduce the amount of removals that have been noted, because right now there's additional removals that were allocated for at Elder, the retaining wall for the new drive. There was a lot more trees that were included. Over the work for Centennial, there was additional trees for the walkway and the pathway. We would scale those back down to only a category 4 or 5 hazard to be removed at this time. So keeping the majority of the trees intact. We would also suggest removing all the buckthorn and invasives, coming back with a planting plan to plug and seed, and of course erosion mat control the bluffs, and then bring that out to the board for review because the cost of doing all that will go out to bid for that work. We would plan on bringing that back in the late fall to the park board, then be able to go to the growers and get things established for growth and then planted in the spring of 2026. So that would be kind of the timeline for execution. We would start now with the process, get the updated plans, have those reviewed by the board, give authority for the park district then to submit. Once we submit, we'll get the review back and then be able to go out to bid for the work, go out to bid, bring that back for board for approval, and then execute on those those bid packets for work to start in early 2026. March or as soon as we can get out there safely to do the work and have it seeded, planted, and completed prior to the start of the beach season for 2026. So that's both the permit process as well as the anticipated timeline if that's the direction the board would like park district staff to move on. Any questions?
No, I think that's it. Would you like to know? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Should put my glasses on. Sorry, Commissioner.
Just a quick question. When we go through the permitting process, is it possible to segment the recurrent trimming versus the one-time tree removal so that the next time that we want to do the same trimming and removal of buckthorn, that the permit that we're getting covers that without needing to go, and every time we want to trim back a buckthorn, we need to go through the permitting process?
I would suggest that our next step of maintenance isn't going to be as drastic as far as essentially clear, I don't want to use the term clear cutting, but a lot of invasive removal. It'll all be gone, the buckthorn will be chemically treated, where it's not going to come back, the root structures and so forth will be chemically treated so they don't keep thriving, and then we would maintain that same level moving forward. It would only be when we look to institute whatever future planning might be done in either of those sites, would we go back, and that would be part of our application for special use at that time to go ahead with that plan. So I don't think it's warranted right now because, once again, it's not going to be ripping off the Band-Aid. We're just going to be maintaining, cutting the grass, if you will, just like we do in other areas. It's just unfortunate because we let it go for so long because there was always this, well, we'll just throw it in with Elder Centennial and throw it in, and it just got deferred for so long.
No, that sounds great.
All right, any other questions from the commissioners? No? All right. We move on to section 5.3. Do you need a drink of water, Costa? Yeah.
We're in it. All right, so the last item on the agenda for me, I believe tonight, I'm probably glad for that, is the review of the alternate plan for the potential change of design or alternate plan for Elder Centennial Dog Beach. I know I gave at best a crude description of what that was last time. I was able to work with the lovely ladies at the Lakota group, both Kristen and Morgan were able to help me out here and put together a schematic plan of what that looks like. I didn't want to spend the money and go through an actual construction CD approach where you can see the site elevations because I don't want to spend that money until we got far enough along with the visual here. So what you're seeing here, of course, is the Centennial Beach. You all understand, you know, kind of where that lower ring road is, or the walkway here. This is abutting the bluff itself, which is noted in kind of this area here. Here's the existing Centennial Dog Beach. This is the key fob access gate. From there, the stairway walks down to a platform, approximately 5 feet in width, goes down to a 5x5 section, and then continues to the north or to the left down to beach level. What's being proposed here in concept is to define the zone for the dog beach to utilize the two pieces of infrastructure. And that is the existing steel groins that are in place here in the central location of the beach, and here, the red line here shown on the southern border of the beach. Those two would be the limits of the dog beach, reaching around 265 feet. Now that was done purposefully from previous boards in regards to the resolution that was approved, no less than 170, no greater than 270. So we're staying within the direction that was given previously. The idea then here is to include a elevated walkway, so essentially mirroring what we have for that raised platform where you would turn down, basically turning now right and south and extending that at that same elevation of the existing seawall to a point just past the boundary of the steel groin, approximately 30 feet. At that point, we would install the electronic key fob gate at that location. So that would allow access to the north side of the beach to anybody who would want to go down there. They would be able to walk down the staircase, gain access to the beach, and then continue north or south, in this case, the way that this has been designed. There would be a 8-foot run-out area for the 2-gate entry system that's required by Cook County. And you'll see here, after that, there's a secondary gate where there's another 6-foot platform that would proceed down the other set of stairs, or the new set of stairs to the south, that would gain you access to the actual beach level. At that point, you would then be able to be onto the quote-unquote dog beach, and the limits of that beach would be defined by the 2 steel groins here, with 4-foot high chain link fencing integrated either on them or directly adjacent to them. Once again, the intent is to utilize an existing barrier as your obstruction. So if somebody was walking, the shoreline, keeping their feet wet, they would walk up to the obstruction here where they wouldn't be able to pass it because in most times it is a differential of several feet. They could climb up over it, of course, but a lot of times they'll start meandering back to an area where the sand tapers out and it's even and they'll walk across. What we would suggest here, instead of having them be able to walk across in this vicinity, we would direct them into a double entry gate system to walk through. This is where it might seem maybe not as well thought out, because why would you have a controlled gate here when somebody could literally just walk here and gain entrance to the dog beach? Once again, we would take people for their word and be honest and design this in a way that you can gain access with your dog to the dog beach through this way. If you're found gaining access without a pass in another way, maybe there's a way to alleviate that concern with ticketing or something like that, revocation of a pass or what have you. But just to be concise here, we would have a double entry gate system here. And the reason the width here is 10 feet to gain access for vehicles to come in. The south side of the beach, or the south property line here, once again inset on the Park District side, would have essentially a 3-foot gate with a double entry system, same as proposed currently, where an individual will be able to walk through and continue on south. So once again, utilizing the obstructions that are in place, utilizing the requirements as we understand them for the county, this would be another way to achieve that by utilizing existing obstructions. So that was what was requested, that's what we have put forward, and just wanted to bring that up in a visual to talk that through with the park board this evening. I'd love to open it up to any questions that you might have and try to address any of those at this time.
Commissioner Seaman?
The northernmost existing steel groin, that's in good shape?
They're both in, I would say, good to fair shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is,
As good as a structure from, probably the late 30s, 40s could be.
and it's the double gate, there's a double gate entry. That's what that is, it's 10 foot wide, is that right?
That is correct.
Is that, again, people, again, Centennial's been called Smart Lake, I think. It's a beach for people with dogs. But for people without dogs can,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, these gates here, as I mentioned, would not be locked. So anybody walking the shoreline would already be coming up to this structure where it would be impassable. They'd have to come to a point where it was level that they could pass. We're directing them through a controlled gate system. So this way we have control on the north side, control on the south side, the lake barrier being what it is. This steel goes out this far, so that's the reason we ran it. The height differential from the lake bed, we're looking not to go any greater than 4 feet. So as the beach tapers down, the fence is gonna taper down. So it's not gonna be the static 585 elevation of where the steel goes out and then another 4 feet across. As the beach tapers, the fence will taper for those visual cues as well.
Last comment, sorry.
Sorry.
Restart that clock. So this allows access across all of Centennial for people without dogs?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Root?
Will there be a need for a key fob? If we have this double entry gate, did I hear you say we would continue with the fob?
We would continue with the fob here at the raised platform to control the access because of Cook County's requirements in regards to vaccinations and so forth. Like I said, honest people could access through here and choose to circumvent this and access the site. That's where, you know, as we've planned for the park ranger, to help manage some of those concerns through the date.
As I thought about this week, I thought this is really an opportunity to honor a portion of the 2030 plan by taking the northern portion of this beach and with the opportunity at some point to have a swimming beach. So the concept, I think, is really worthwhile studying. The question I have on the south side is, do we risk our residents having an issue with trespass? Is there a way, by putting the fence on the groin, how does anyone continue walking so that they don't have to go over on 205's property? It's we call it the Chuck Downing concern.
Yep.
Could you kind of explain that?
So this line here, the red line, is the existing seal. This black line here is the property line. Where the gate is located, off of that, there's approximately 3 feet on the other side of it, and then straight through here is where the steps are located for the groin structure at the 205 residence. And that would be the control point for somebody to cross. So where the gate is, you would essentially, you'd walk through the gate, you'd have a couple steps to the east, and then continue up over the groin.
You'll run right into a sign.
Oh, well, better a sign than special forces, okay? That's what I'm worried about. Again, many of our commenters said we, by ordinance back in '23, made this an on-leash dog park. And there's so many people that are upset about fencing. I look at this and I go, this is a nice accommodation to try to move forward with some form of a 2030 plan. The question is, putting the fencing all the way out on the water, is there a way perhaps to alleviate some of those concerns of stopping the fence at sand level and then maybe putting panels out during swimming season on the additional space?
This is a conceptual rendering. The means and methods of how it's physically installed, whether it's addressing for certain times of the season, whether it's concerns around ice damage and what we would want to pull back for infrastructure repairs, those kind of things can all be vetted out. Once again, this is conceptual. I would just like to note that the same type of passage and access as we're showing here with the gate system is what's currently in our design. Basically, just the limits of where this structure is proposed here is 20 feet inset of the north property line, and then this structure would be 20 feet set of the south property line here. So that's basically the difference between the two.
But with our current regular plan, the one before
The
zoning.
current permit plan.
I thought that.
Nothing's in front of zoning yet.
Or I'm talking about the plan, okay. I thought that there was a way that people that didn't want to associate with patrons with dogs could walk by the toe of the bluff
The plan that has been paused, yes,
Yes.
there was a 12-foot access way where this elevated boardwalk where it basically tied in through here, and then there were steps down, there was a corridor here that brought you to a point about 12 feet in width that allowed you to walk outside of the boundaries of the dog beach.
It's one of the concerns I have with this is if someone doesn't want to associate with dogs but still wants to continue on walking, they don't have that option.
That is a risk, yes.
So could it be configured so that we gave them maybe a fenced area along the toe of the bluff where they would be protected from those rascals?
That, once again, that would be a direction from the board, that if the board decides that's something they want to pursue or tell staff to pursue, we can come up with ideas and concepts around that.
And then I have 7 seconds. The main concern I have using this area on a regular basis is we have people of multiple conditions as proposed by this plan that will be using those stairs. So we have kind of the same problem that we had on what I call our big plan, where we had a central platform. We're gonna have really excited dogs that are gonna be coming down those stairs. At the same time, we may have other people in frailer conditions. It's a safety concern. Is there a way, perhaps, to have a separate set of stairs for those who care to meander north and don't want to risk that? I mean, I've nearly been knocked down by some labs and Goldens as they're running to get out to that water.
Sure. Yeah, I would say that surge or that run is going to be now at this point, so they should still be on leash and controlled by their owners through here. I do agree that with a 6-foot lead, and depending on who's holding the dog or if they're choosing to obey that, there's concerns. But once again, this was the direction based on the review to address this area. If these are additional concerns that the board has, and like staff to go back and take into consideration a second entry point just for the North Passive Beach, or is that the swimming beach? We don't know the intent of the beach to the north yet. Once again, we just solely were looking at the dog area and fencing concerns to date. So, love greater input from the board on how to proceed.
Are there other commissioners that would like to ask questions or make comment? Commissioner Corley.
Yeah, the extra stairs without the fob, I think those make a lot of sense. It's just it's a pass through that dogs are not allowed through, right? So I think like with signage, you know, there's dogs ahead, but you can't bring your dogs through here, you know, signage. I think that makes more, it took a minute, but you know, the fob is for dogs really.
Right.
And then the other entryways for people without dogs, and if that's clear, then I think it makes perfect sense. That's all.
I'd like to comment. So I do like this plan because it encapsulates a lot of thought and comment that the Park District has received on its current temporary fence permit. My concern is timing. I do think that putting this system in will seriously delay the time that we actually can have an off-leash dog park because it was indicated by the IDNR and the Army Corps that we would have to go through the whole public comment process again and everything. So while I do like this plan, I think it's, you know, it is supposed to be a temporary beach plan, and perhaps I would maybe consider tabling it just because it's so much, and I'm afraid that we will be again delayed in turning this into an off-leash dog park, particularly when we are quite far along in the process with the current permit request.
Commissioner Cotto?
I think this is good work. I think it shows good effort to accommodate some of the concerns that we've heard from people in the public. And I think we should definitely keep it at the front of the list of amendments we may be making. I also think we have to see what feedback we get from the lakefront liaisons with regard to how we adjust our plan, improve our chances for the special use permit. So I'm grateful for this work. I think it's elegant. Thank you.
Commissioner Rapp?
Just to review the process for the plan that we've already submitted. We are responding to the comments of the IDNR and Army Corps, and then they will opine and say, you can do this, you can't do this, the fence needs to change this way maybe, or not. And then
In
we
theory,
take
in
that.
60 days, we should have a response, yes.
Okay, and then we take that and then we marry it with the special use permit application that we're submitting tomorrow or early next week.
Early next week.
Okay, and then the plan that the temporary plan that we identified moves forward through the process. Seems like hopefully.
Just also like to note, we have had, at the same time that we introduced this plan with the Corps and the NDNR, we also submitted a building permit, because that was the permit that Shannon and I were directed to by community development staff to submit at that time.
Okay.
So the village has seen the original design now for
Since
4 months, 5 months. So they know what the plan is, they've seen it. I believe, Adam, not to put you on the spot, but I believe there's been conversations where if we do decide to take this from a on-leash dog beach to an off-leash dog beach, that will require special use. Is that accurate?
The former community development director, before he departed, expressed that changing from a on-leash dog beach to an off-leash dog beach was a change in use. We've expressed a different opinion. I don't know if the current community development director has put an opinion in writing. As you've heard, we submitted a building permit application in May that we still have not received feedback on. That's the end of my comments.
Okay. I mean, I guess in summary, I feel like we should stay the course of what we've already submitted. I mean, I think this plan has some improvements, but what was going through my mind when I reviewed it again was the feedback from the commissions about the choke point with the dogs and people, which I don't feel like this addresses without a second staircase.
Right, it's a temporary plan.
But the objective is still to continue on, bring on the lead engineer, move forward and address the concerns and come back with the actual plan for the development of both sites. This is that stopgap to get something addressed that we've been directed by. So this is an intermediate best, yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
I don't know if I have any time left. I will only take a minute. Listen, we are terribly bureaucratic. Terrible. This is a wonderful idea plan. Perhaps we need another set of stairs. I can't believe you actually said you want more fence, but
I want safety.
I understand. I think safety is number one. We are terribly bureaucratic. This is a very simple plan to address many of the comments. I heard so many people say passage for people without dogs across all of Centennial. Boom, got it. Less fence. Boom, got it. All right? Don't touch the bluff. Boom, got it. This thing it's millions of dollars less expensive than some of the other stuff. I know this is temporary. And I understand that it would set us back if we put this forth. I want fences up there for safety of people without dogs. I went by 2 dogs today. I thought if they got off the leash, they would not only kill my dog, they would have killed me. Oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. So, I love this. It's simple, it's cost effective, it's temporary, but I get it. We go back to the back of the line if we now put this forward. I just want some temporary fence on Centennial. I just want some temporary fence on Centennial. Thank you.
May I ask one other question?
Briefly.
If you will. Good shot. What, do we know whether the Corps and the IDNR are even going to let us put a fence up? Do we have any, I know they won't
I
tell you
can't,
directly.
I'm sure, guys, to be honest, I'd be speaking out of turn, so I can't say.
All we can do is draw extrapolations from all the other fences along the lake.
But the question is whether any of those other dog beaches went and sought formal approval from the Corps and the IDNR, because I have not found where they have. They put them up, and again, perhaps Evanston did. So that's why I'm wondering if, we may get our answer very quickly. They may come back and tell us no.
Any other commissioners? All right. Stay the course.
Stay okay, perfect, that's what I need to know.
Okay.
Just to affirm, we don't want to exhaust this any further, we'll leave it as it sits today, and we'll keep it in the hip pocket if need be, that's what I understand, right?
Yes.
Very good.
All right. Costa. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Costa.
All right. ED is all. Can you move on to some policy manual updates, please?
My turn, your turn.
Okay, so we are coming back today with 3.04, which we discussed last meeting, and we tabled that to make some additional adjustments to that. So in my deep dive into the policy manual, which is my new favorite pastime, there was also a policy 5.00, which had the definitions for some of these things already in that particular policy itself. So in looking at what was provided by commissioners at the last board meeting, as well as incorporating the items from 5.00 into one policy, 3.04, we did make some additional changes to that to put those together in a consistent format that gives us as much clarity as possible. So that changed the title of the policy to definition, revision, and distribution of policies and procedures. We added in that first paragraph, provides guidelines for operation, gives objectives to the board, executive director, and staff, so we added board to that. We added at the end of that first paragraph, in the vein of talking about policy decisions, not just policy that is in the policy manual, but that policy decisions will be documented in official board minutes, ordinances, and resolutions, that it may not specifically be in the policy manual, but there will be some sort of documentation of a policy decision by the board. And then in the paragraph on definition of procedure, we talk to adding that a procedure basically is in respect to the implementation and achievement of board policies and policy decisions, not just policies, but including both. And then we also indicated what an operation manual is as a part of procedures as well. We also included as a part of, that was a part of 5.00, what the distribution of those type of documents would be for policy manual procedures and appropriate operations manuals. And with that, I'll answer any questions you have on those two. For 5.00, we would put that into a removed policy, as it would no longer be needed. Right.
Do any commissioners have any questions or comments for Edie Nazal? Commissioner Rapp.
I apologize, I cannot serve everybody this ahead of time, but this is improved, but I would like to suggest, and I can make a motion if we need to, that we add a sentence to the procedure paragraph, which indicates that the procedures will, in every respect, be consistent with the policies adopted by the board. I think that the language here about, the general framework is not as specific as we need to be with respect to certain items, And so I think that we need to just be very clear. I think in the past, there's been some wiggle room on the policies that we've adopted. I think the affiliate policy is a good example where we had policy, but there were not supporting procedures that were followed. And I think we just need to be very clear in our policy manual that the procedures will be consistent with the policies adopted by the board.
Is that the language that you said the first time?
I can't remember.
Okay. No, I mean, at the beginning just now of your discussion.
The
So the
procedures will, in every respect, be consistent with the policies adopted by the board. And just place that sentence after policy 5.05.
I don't have a problem with
Does anyone else have a question or comment?
Should I make a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't see you.
I fully support what you're proposing because I thought much the same, but I have another suggestion, and again, I'm sorry I didn't get this circulated. It's very easy. I think somewhere at the very beginning of this section, we need to say that a policy establishes the rules and regulations of the district. The language later on that talks about guidelines, that's great. But what is this? As I understand Illinois law, and I'll look at the counselor over here, unless we direct that a policy is our rules and regulations, it's very amorphous as to what this is. And so it's just simple. A policy establishes the rule and regulations of the district and is a written document. So just adding those words would make me feel better. And again, I support Commissioner Rapp with her suggestion with respect to procedure.
I guess the only clarification I would ask is this. We have a completely separate document that describes the rules and regulations for using park property, which is completely outside the context of the board policy manual. And
I understand that. I'm trying to get that for the board policy.
And so, using the words rules and regulations, the everyday connotation for that, to me, implies the park conduct code, as opposed to the philosophy to be implemented by staff. And so, that's, when I hear rules and regulations, that's where I go. My mind goes to the conduct code.
Well, it's called the conduct code, is it not?
It's an ordinance 504.
Okay.
So that's my only reaction, is that to call the policy the rules and regulations conflates the board policy manual with ordinance 504.
What I take section 2 is guidelines. And again, as I said during the last meeting, it's rather like Pirates of the Caribbean guidelines. We follow them when we want to. So I want to make very sure that that a policy we follow. And again, that's why I suggest this language.
Mr. Simon, are you pondering something?
I don't know if there's anything else I can.
Okay.
I mean, this is the level of severity of the language is up to the board.
Okay. Commissioner Coda, thank you.
I think both of these statements are implied. I don't think there's any damage in making them clearer. And in the interests of expediency, I suggest we add to 505 procedures will in every respect be consistent with policies of the board. And I suggest we add
What was your language, Colleen?
At the beginning, the first two words, a policy ad establishes the rules and regulations of the district.
Fine. I suggest we add those two.
Okay, I do have a question about how to add them. Commissioner Root, you did say a policy establishes the rules and regulations of a district and is a written document, but
Well, the
later.
written document, that's already in there.
Okay. So it's all right with you that the last sentence there that says not all policy decisions by the board will be memorialized as a written policy. However, all such decisions will be documented in the official board minutes. Is that okay?
I don't like it, but I'm willing to live with it.
All right. And then my only hesitation with I don't have a hesitation with Commissioner Rapp's concept of making sure that there's parity between policy and procedures. However, when you say in every respect, that gets so, it becomes so specific. So could we use a language other than in every respect, or is that exactly what you have a problem with?
Well, I think we need to be consistent with our policies.
Correct.
So the affiliates is a good example. Like, we've specified the documents that we expect. We should be getting those back. We should be checking our rosters. We should be allocating fields in line with our direction.
Correct.
So I think deviating from that is problematic, and we get into
So just
trouble.
injecting a materiality standard wouldn't be sufficient for you?
I don't think so, because if we think about, we can think of other situations when we're on a slippery slope of, oh, we don't really need to follow our policies. And it's so easy, if you don't like the policy, it's so easy to change it, because you just need to have a majority vote of our Board of Commissioners at a meeting. We meet once a month, there are 7 of us, you only need 4. So if there's a policy that needs a deviation, we're the board and we can change it.
I'm more concerned about wordsmithing the procedures. I'm not worried about the policies. We can figure out what policies we approve and don't. I'm more concerned that the procedures, that we'll have a wordsmithing issue and suddenly we have inconsistency, which isn't material, but it's inconsistent, and I don't want to get tripped up on that. That's what I'm worried about.
President Gibson, if I could, so what I would also clarify here too, Commissioner Rapp, it seems like what you're talking about is non-compliance with policy, not a procedure written that is not in compliance with policy. Because we don't have procedures that are non-compliant with policy. So I think that's the distinction. Yes, we had some policies that were not being followed to the letter of the law. We're still kind of going through those to make sure that we do get to that point. So I just want to clarify that there is a distinction there between just a policy not being followed and a procedure that is written to not follow policy. So there is none of that in existence, and as far as what this does and what the current language is in regards to the definitions, that's already been board approved. So if it's easier to just leave it as it is and not change it, that's also an option, because there is already board approved policy on the definitions of what administrative procedure is.
That's helpful. I'm happy to observe that.
So the procedures are currently 100% compliant with our policies. We've just been
Right,
lax
we
in
don't.
certain cases and.
Right, I mean, there is, I can speak for myself, I can't speak for, a future executive director 20, 30, 100 years from now, right? So as far as any procedure that is written, it's based on the policy that we have, and that's because a procedure is the how to do the thing of what we're supposed to do. So the policy is saying, that we have to bring in this information for an affiliate. We have to collect this information for an affiliate. The procedure is the how do we do that. It's not do we have to do it or not. We know we have to do it. It's the how to. That's the difference between the policy and the procedure. So,
To add another P, it's policy, procedure, and performance. And sometimes there's a difference between procedure and performance, but that doesn't mean you change the procedure, that means you improve the performance of the procedure, right? So we don't have to, I mean, DD Nizal says the procedures are all currently compliant with policy, it's just how closely we adhere to the procedures.
So if they're all compliant, then it's no problem to add this sentence because there's no additional work involved as a result. And then it's clear. I'm less worried about our current executive director, but it's possible, as you know, others come in who are less diligent, that there's some lack of clarity on that. Whereas a policy establishes the rules and whereas the procedures will in every respect be consistent with the policies adopted by the board, it lays it out.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
I feel like if we were a show, our ratings have just plummeted.
Oh, I know, right?
Sorry.
Well, this is not riveting. So listen, listen, your work on this has been like fantastic. Seriously, fantastic. I know you spent a lot of time on it too. So let's just get this done. We got it. I know we have one on new business. Let's get this one done now.
Okay.
So what are we gonna do?
I would like to make a motion to amend the definition, revision, and distribution of policies and procedures to include the procedures will, in every respect, be consistent with the policies adopted by the board, placed after the words operations manual as indicated in policy 5.05.
Seconded. Let's vote.
Okay. Commissioner Root,
Yes?
Commissioner Seaman,
No. No.
Commissioner Tyson,
No.
Commissioner Gibson, Commissioner Kodo,
No.
Commissioner Corley,
No.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
No.
That motion didn't pass.
Can I make a follow-up comment?
Yes.
No. So my thought before this meeting was that if a wording change came up mid-meeting, that I would move to postpone. I think the way that the wording worked last week was good in a way where something was suggested, some time was taken by Shannon, and it was, probably looked over by legal, and then we come to a meeting with an agenda item where people can read the text, understand it, see it ahead of time, and think about it. I think it is very dangerous to be adding like basically legal language on the fly. I don't have it in print in front of me, and it's not it's not time critical. So there's a time for there's time for email discussion, there's time for people to review it, time for people to think about it. Anytime something comes up in a meeting that's not on the agenda, I gotta decide like in 5 minutes, is this a good idea or not? I think your work on this is good and solid. I think the things that you dig into are important. I think they deserve more time. There's we can kind of discuss it in the weeks leading up to the meeting through email.
Thank you, Commissioner Corley. Commissioner Root, did you want to make a motion with regard to?
I wonder whether it's even worth the time expended to do so, but I would like to move that after, at the very beginning, a policy, we add the following, establishes the rules and regulations of the district and then continue on. So it'd be a policy establishes the rules and regulations of the district and is a written document. So the only thing we're saying is, this is kind of our guidance and our rules as commissioners. Because I think that's missing in all of the text that follows. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Could we do a vote on that, please?
Sure. Commissioner Seaman,
No.
Commissioner Tyson,
No.
Commissioner Kodo,
No.
Commissioner Corley,
No, for the reasons I just stated.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root.
Yes.
That motion didn't pass.
All right.
So we need to get a motion on,
I'd like to make a motion
Yeah, on
to go ahead and vote on
accepting the
Policy,
text
on this
that was
resolution,
reviewed, yeah.
exactly.
And recommend that the additional text maybe be discussed in email and presented on the agenda next month.
May I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-09-25-02, adopting updates and acknowledging review of board policy manual section 3.04 and 5?
So moved.
So, yeah, second.
Okay. Let's see where I'm at. Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
No.
Commissioner Root,
No.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
That passes.
All right, and now we are moving on to policy manual update, chapter 4.
Okay, so chapter 4 of the policy manual is a doozy. So there are quite a few policies within this chapter. So before you, for this first read, are 1 through 20, minus 4.12 and 4.14. So with these, I'll just go briefly through. You have those in your packet, but I'll kind of give you a little feedback on some of these as we go through fairly quickly. So 4.01, which was previously organizational chart, we are looking at changing that to organizational structure. As it's a policy, it would be looking at the policy of what the organizational structure is and how that is provided to the board or approved. So in this, we are looking to basically say that the organizational chart is included in the budget document, which is approved by the board on an annual basis. So that way in the policy itself, we don't have to worry about different versions of an organizational chart in multiple different places. We also still note that we follow state law when it comes to having an organizational chart in a conspicuous area. It's posted up in front on bulletin board as you walk into our lobby, so it's there as well. But this kind of gives the idea of how the structure, the organizational structure of the district works. And also to note that we did not change the numbering within the chapter at this point. Likely when we get through all of the chapters of the policy manual, we'll look at a full renumbering. So, which is going to be a task in itself, but we didn't want to make those changes at this point to add confusion into looking at the different policies and giving folks the opportunity to see where something has been moved to. So if you go to 4.02, that one would change to reserved. That legal status is covered in 3.05, so that was in the chapter that was previously reviewed by the board. 4.03 of the manual, officers, and we added and appointments duties. This combined 4.03 and 4.04. We looked at making sure cleaning up some language and then adding that officers for the Park District would be appointed at the annual meeting and then referred back to that section in regards to the annual meeting. 4.04, as I mentioned, that was included in the last one, so that one would be reserved. 4.05, this one combined quite a few policies as we had a separate policy. We have a separate policy for all of the different officers. So president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and then additional duties are all currently separate policies. So the idea is to consolidate those into one for ease and just consolidation of those items. Also, what we have added in here as well, so that combined 4.05, 4.06, 4.07, 4.08, and 4.11. This also adds a new officer position for the board of assistant secretary. So this would be a position that in the case that I win the lottery and, you know, it's not nice to see you. And no, I'm just kidding. But if there's a situation where a resolution needs to be signed and I'm not available, then there is somebody that is available to do that on an immediate basis, and the board doesn't have to take additional action to allow someone else to be that signatory. And then we get into some of that, so 4.06, 4.07, 4.08 are all reserved. Then we get into 4.09. So this is in regards to the executive director position. This combines 4.09, 4.15, and it's cross-referenced with the board-approved job description of the executive director, just to make sure that everything is as accurate as possible across the board. We also added a disclaimer of sorts in there in the first part of that points to the policy manual would prevail in case there's any changes to the job description that were in conflict. So it would point to the policy manual as being the prevailing document. The next section, 4.10 for attorney, not too many changes there, just cleaning up some of that language. 4.11 went to reserved, that is the additional duties of officers, so that went to 4.05. As I mentioned previously, 4.12 we're not reviewing because that was recently reviewed by the board. So 4.13, compensation of commissioners, officers, and employees. Some minor changes made here to relate back to 70 ILCS 1205-4-1, which is in regards to no compensation for commissioners to serve as officers and that sort of thing. We also made sure to change that language at the beginning of that sentence to comply with that law, to make sure that it said shall not receive compensation rather than may not receive compensation. 4.14, again, that's another another policy that we recently reviewed, so that's not included in the review this evening. 4.15, that was included in 4.09, so that would be reserved. 4.16, this one, I would ask for this particular policy item to be tabled. We have been in communication with Paderma in regards to this particular policy. It's fairly old wording of bonds for fiduciary responsibilities. It's pretty much something that we see is covered under our regular Paderma policy. So we were actually looking through that today with some of the language that other park districts had, that IAPD had in regards to this particular item. So I want to be able to take that back and look at that further, consult with legal, consult with procurement to make sure that we are good to go on that one. So that one we'll bring back to a future one if that's okay to the board, with the board. 4.17, clarification on this, on why this is going to reserve. So fiscal year, the current 4.17, I believe, is in the wrong chapter. Section or chapter 6 is in regards to annual fiscal requirements. So we felt that fiscal year better fit into that chapter. So we are temporarily moving it to 6.00 until we get to the renumbering to make that a better number for that. So that will be moving into chapter 6. So it's not being removed, it's just being moved to a different chapter. 4.18, so this is combining 4.18 and 4.20 in regards to the annual meeting and voting for president and vice president. One of the things that we looked at here was we wanted to add a purpose of that meeting to conduct any other organizational business as required by law or policy. So we have that caveat in there if anything else needs to be talked about at that annual meeting. And then also gives us the procedure for voting on president and vice president based on current practice of the board. 4.19, we changed this to be for all officer term limits, not just president and vice president, because it did talk about the secretary, treasurer, and legal counsel as in regards to term limits. So we changed that to officer term limits. We did not change any of those term limits, but just to consolidate that and make that language more concise for what it actually was talking about. 4.20 went to reserved, and then the last one, again, 6.00, that's kind of the outlier that we changed, are looking at changing the chapter of fiscal year, but keeping that fiscal year the same at January 1 through December 31st, no change there. And I will answer any questions you may have on any of these.
Commissioner Root. My goodness, I didn't even punch my button. First of all, I want to thank the executive director and staff. I think you've done a fabulous job on this. I have one suggestion, and it's something I thought of this afternoon after we met, executive director. On 4.18, we have our officer election each May, yet our local elections tend to be either in March or on or about the 1st of April. And in going back historically, what I saw was that elections traditionally were held during the April meeting. And so I thought we might consider looking at going back to that particular I guess I'll say tradition, because what happens is, and it happened this last election, where we have 2 new commissioners and an incumbent, and you were elected on April Fool's Day. You were certified, I believe, on or about April 20th, and yet you had to wait until the end of May to assume your new duties. And it just seems that once elected, and once the election is certified, that you should step into your roles and positions. So it's just something to consider. I guess I would ask council also to opine on that.
The Park District Code, I'm making sure I'm reading the right section, because there's a section that's dedicated just to Fox Valley, for some reason. It's my experience that most park districts have their annual meeting in May, because the date of the election in April moves sometime during the first 8 days of the month. And then the law requires 21 days after that for the clerk to canvass the election and to allow for provisional votes, et cetera. So that could be as late as April 29th. And so we know for sure the election will be over by the end of April. And so the meeting in May is conventionally when the annual meeting occurs. That's my experience with other park districts that I represent. If you have an annual meeting in April and we don't have the final election results, we can't really have an annual meeting yet.
Understood.
And it might be something too, where if it's in May, that could potentially, when the board makes their calendar for that year, that May meeting could be made earlier in the month.
This is, I guess, one of the disadvantages of having only one meeting a month at the end of the month. But again, Counselor, you've explained why that is not a good suggestion, so I'll withdraw my suggestion.
Do we have any other commissioners? Commissioner Rapp?
I would just say, thinking about this, that when we make our calendar, that we consider maybe moving it up in May, so that we are not meeting on the Thursday before Memorial Day. So that might satisfy some of Commissioner Reed's concerns, some of our comments from the public about having a meeting on the Thursday before a long weekend, and then, so, you know, reduce that like lame duck period.
Is there something we need to do in order to undertake that?
No, that would be during, when the calendar is built for the next year. That's something that the board approves annually.
Commissioner Rapp, will you remember that? I think it's a good suggestion.
I'll try.
I can make note of that, and we can definitely.
Shannon will have a better chance.
Yeah, I'll have to write it down about 20 times, but.
I might remember.
We have traditionally observed spring breaks for all the schools and start and end of schools, and we have slightly moved things for the start of school and vacation, so it's not an unprecedented adjustment.
Any other commissioners have comments with respect to these board policy chapter 4 changes? No? All right, very good. May I have a motion to approve resolution 2025 excuse me, 09?
It is.
Do you want to waive second reading?
We don't have a rule for second reading, I just didn't know.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna make a motion for it because it doesn't sound like we need it.
Super.
All right, so may I, do you have something?
No, I'm just gonna listen for your questions, but I don't have.
May I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-09-25-03 as amended, and as amended to exclude 4.16, adopting updates and acknowledging review of provided sections of the board policy manual.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kodo,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
very good. All right, Mr. Crocker.
Can I just ask a question?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Just for planning purposes, so is it the intention at the next meeting to come back with the second half of chapter 4?
I don't know yet.
Okay, okay,
We're budget season now.
okay.
I'm doing my best to bring something every regular meeting. I don't know, I haven't started that part yet. So I think we have done some work already in that part of chapter 4, so it might not be a complete review of all of that, but I'm trying my darndest.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. I just think like some sections require more time and discussion than others, so.
Sure.
It's, you know,
This,
Like the
this
ones that
chapter might,
might require more time to discuss.
yeah, in this chapter, that's why I split it up because it was a doozy.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Crocker?
Thank you. Sorry, thank you, Commissioner Tyson. As everybody here knows, we are legally required to have an independent auditor review our financials each year. There are certain legal deadlines we are required to meet for reporting purposes. The auditing firm Lauterbach and Amon, for 2 years running now, has failed to meet those deadlines that we have negotiated with them. So we have terminated our contract with Lauterbach and Amon. We reached out to the only other firm who submitted a proposal last year when we went out to bid, a firm named Sikich. And Sikich has submitted a new proposal for the following 3 years, the audits of 2025, 2026, and 2027. There is a slight cost differential each year. The total comes to about $14,253 over a 3-year time period. There's a slight increase in the foundation audit as well. The foundation pays for its own audit, and that does not affect the expenses for the Park District. We are asking the board to, we're recommending to the board that they approve the proposal from the auditing firm of Sikich so that we may reach out to them and engage with them for the audit of 2025, 2026, and 2027. I will now answer any questions the board may have.
Commissioner Sino?
You know, I remember when the audit cost $18,000 a year. That's pre-COVID. Obviously, we need an auditor, so I'm going to vote yes for this. But why have audit costs gone up so much? I know everything else has, but why have our audit costs gone up so much in the last 5-6 years?
I can't really speak to that other than saying market forces.
Supply and demand.
So,
Two. We got two people, two firms to choose from. There used to be 8.
There used to be 8.
I mean, like, they weren't all the same size, they weren't all the same qualifications, but there used to be a lot of firms that would dabble in government audits, and they've either been acquired or gotten out of the business.
Got it, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing the work on this.
Jim, I think you have a data point from when we went out to RFP and we sent out 8 requests when you very first started, and we got back 2 proposals.
Right.
And they were Lauterbach and Amon and Sikich.
Right, and then we have 3 declinations and 2 no responses.
Yeah,
So,
which is kind of the same.
Right.
Any other, oh,
Commissioner Tyson?
My question was going to be, is there benefit to signing a 3-year agreement versus doing a 1-year travel agreement? If they're the only game left in town, the only other responder, maybe that, my question's already been answered.
The one other thing I would point out for the 3-year contract is certainty of pricing as you build your budgets going forward. If you do a 1-year contract, a year from now, you may be going out for another contract, and the price may escalate significantly. At this point, we can lock this in for 3 years, so there's a little bit more certainty where the future pricing is concerned. But that's the only thing I would point to.
But we have the same ability to get out of it for performance issues.
We'll make sure that we address that in the engagement letter, that we look at what those performance standards are, so we don't run into the same concerns that we've had with the previous firm.
Thank you.
all right, very well. Should we move to a motion on that? May I have a motion to approve the Sikich Audit Services proposal and authorize the executive director to execute the forthcoming audit engagement letter?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lakota?
Yes.
And Commissioner Gibson?
Yes.
That motion passes.
All right, very good. We're now moving on to section 6.3 that was added into open session, and this is going to be a discussion concerning the meeting among the U.S. Army Corps, the IDNR, Park District staff, and the board's lakefront or village liaisons. During the August 27th meeting with representatives of the Corps, the IDNR, Park District staff, and the Park Board's village liaisons, a question was asked by Commissioner Kodo of the IDNR and the Corps, namely, if, we submit this, meaning the proposed lakefront protection plan for each of Elder Beach and Centennial Beach as one permit, and the exchange goes through, then do we simply submit a revision? And I understand that some people would like a briefing on this. Some of the commissioners would like a briefing.
I had an opportunity to listen to the tape, and I thank you for circulating that. Again, it goes back to my earlier comment. This would have been my study session report. I did a transcript of the tape, because I'm starting to do that with all meetings because you can easily find things. And at the beginning of the meeting, Mr. Catulus talked about the fact that there was an intent to continue with the property exchange agreement. He went on to say, we've had discussions with the property owner. There is a property exchange agreement in place, but unfortunately, that's hit a few roadblocks, and it's been paused for the moment, but we are working toward the objective of trying to secure that property for the Park District. That's about as far as I can really say on that, because that's where we're at. But we continue through our design. Like I said, we're looking at these as, even though they're independent projects, but how they will work and function as one. And so that prompted a question as to whether we had made any progress with the owner of 261. Then Ms. Kodo, I see at the end of the interview, you said I have a few questions, and that you had 4 things, and your first was, if we submit this as one permit and the exchange goes through, this homeowner to the south is likely to complete his building efforts in January of 2026. Then do we simply submit a revision? That's my first question. So it was based on these comments that I thought it would be good to have an update for the board, but also for our community to learn if we've made any progress in moving forward to secure 261. And so I thank you for holding this an open meeting. I think this is great. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Mr. Simon, did you want to update people on the status of the agreement?
No change. I've had no conversations about changing the status of the agreement with our counterpart.
Then, do I understand we go back to where we were? I don't remember the date. But the theory was that with the settlement agreement with the Schresheims, that we would have to have a restatement of the property exchange agreement to recognize that the beach was no longer part and parcel. So do we go back then to those discussions where if this does move forward, we will have to have a restatement of the property exchange agreement to reflect the integrity of the Schresheim settlement agreement?
I think the settlement agreement with the Schreisheims for that litigation, as you mentioned, expresses that the Park District promises not to convey the land east of the existing steel sheet piling at Centennial to any private enterprise, and so that's the Park District's obligation under that settlement agreement. As to how we move forward in implementing the exchange agreement, I'll reserve comment on that right now in this forum.
But just for clarification, we will honor the terms of the Schmesheim settlement agreement.
I've gotten no other direction.
And that's a question to the board. We intend to do that.
It's sort of, yeah, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, very good. And now we will turn to the executive director's report.
All right, well, everyone has the weekly status updates and legal expenses and the golf club report, and I'll answer any questions you have.
Commissioner Root?
Well, this is not part of your weekly report, but it's something I raised with you earlier today. And that is, I listened intently to the caucus council meeting on the 17th of September, and at the end of the meeting, the chair, Mr. Larkin, indicated that there was an effort by the Park District to provide childcare for the fall town hall meeting.
That comment was actually made by Matt Bogusch.
I'm sorry?
Who's the Parks Chair.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So I'd like to have some information about that from the executive director and maybe turn this over for discussion by the board, because quite frankly, I have a concern, and I will look to Park Council, that in so doing, I know caucus is a strange animal, and that it's not itself a governmental body, but I fear we may have some issues associated with election interference. And I'm concerned about how this is all going to be conducted. We don't have a camp for this. I'm worried about liability under our insurance policies. So I'd just like to hear more about it. Thank you.
So it's no different than when we do an out-of-school camp or when we do summer camp. It's not daycare, it's not childcare. It's a couple of hours, just like we do our Parents' Night Out events, where we would offer to entertain the children of our community members while they have something going on, no different than any other programs that we do. I did reach out to the caucus to ask if they thought that there might be an appetite for the community for something like this for that time frame, because the town hall is a little late in the evening, to make sure people have the opportunity to participate and have the chance to exercise their right to vote. And so I got response of, hey, that's a great idea, so we're looking into it. We haven't finalized anything, but yeah, that's where we are right now.
May I ask who you spoke with caucus, because you heard a representative of caucus tonight come and say that caucus had had no indication of this. And
I had emails from Matt Bogusch and PK Wilson. It was also sent to Ian Larkin.
Okay, today I spoke with PK Wilson, and she said that this had not been raised with the executive committee of caucus or with the caucus council.
I couldn't say that because I'm not a part of the caucus, but I have email records where I did communicate with PK Wilson and Matt Bogusch and Ian Larkin.
And may I ask who will be staffing the camp?
It has not been finalized, but it would be Park District staff.
So again, this goes back to my concern where we have a park facility and we have park employees under Illinois election law, whether they can provide this service when the purpose is to provide childcare so that people can vote in a caucus election. And I know it's a gray, because of what caucus is, it's a strange animal, but it's a concern.
I have no reservations, because providing daycare, assuming that the program doesn't condition participation in the camp or special event on affiliation with a party or platform. It's just a non-sectarian recreational activity. They're not engaging in any partisan politics, they're not electioneering, they're not using public resources to advance a platform or a referendum. So I don't think this violates the Prohibited Activities Act, it doesn't violate the State Ethics Act, it doesn't violate the election code. It's simply providing a park and recreation activity in concert with a community event, so more people can participate in the community event.
Commissioner Kodo?
I think that anything that we can do to increase turnout, broaden participation is a good thing.
I was on those emails and I'm like, you're really kind to offer that. So I know it may have somehow gotten crossed with the public comment from the gentleman about child care. I was a little confused by that gentleman's comments, like that we need to get approval from the caucus before we do something. That's a little kooky. So, but as the caucus liaison, this is a wonderful thing to offer, to get parents to have the ability to show up for a few hours, if they want to, and vote for whomever they'd like to vote for. Planks. I think it's a wonderful, I think that Matt Bogue said was a, I believe, I don't have the email in front of me, like, a wonderful way to coordinate and help bring the community out to vote. So I commend you for offering it and coming up with it. So thank you.
Great. Commissioner Ray?
I'll just say, I think it's great if, as a district, we want to support our community in providing access to childcare. And I would say that there are a whole host of other opportunities that we should consider. I was surprised to see this one as the first offer, but I would suggest that parent nights at the elementary schools would be an excellent opportunity to offer similar types of programming. I think that there are several of those. They're always a struggle. I would also say that drop-in care for conference days is also another avenue where if our intent is really to help parents in our community be able to participate in things that are important, that those should also be.
Yeah, we also offer a lot of those things as well. We offer day off of school, field trips and all of those things. We have tried the parents' night out things. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not. So we do a lot of offerings. Sometimes things get canceled for low enrollment, that sort of thing. A lot of times it is throwing things out there and see what people are interested in participating. Sometimes we don't know what that participation is until something is offered. And with this particular item, that's why I did reach out to the caucus to see if it's something that they thought as the caucus whole, or those individual representatives, would think that folks would participate in that. Because if there was no interest or, oh, well, I don't think people are going to participate in that, that would have ended the conversation right there.
So is there an idea for timing and signups? Because it's obviously not in our program guide now.
Right.
We're like 10 days out, 12 days out.
Right, so staff, we've got a tiny little event this Saturday, that we're prioritizing right now, making sure that we have everything set for that for the community. And as we get through that, so our staff that run that event on our recreation team have been the ones kind of looking at those different ideas on what we might be able to do for that. But as soon as we have more information on that, we'll absolutely get it to the public.
I just want to thank the executive director and also council for clarifying that. Again, I always want to be whistle clean, when it comes to election laws due to the fact that violation can be a felony. So let's make sure we're doing it right, so thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. We now will open up commissioner comments. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to make some additional comments this evening? Commissioner Ray?
I'll be short. I just want to thank President Duda for digging in to understand the e-scooter and e-bike policies. I wanted to thank Adam Simon for sending out a summary of what our current policy is, because it's not as clearly identified in the website, and then I understand that we will talk about that further after the village does their regulations for e-bikes, which is expected in the first week in October, and then we will be in a position to more clearly assign and identify what our policies are for the park district, so that it's a little bit more transparent, and maybe update our website, or just make sure that people are clear that scooters are not allowed in other places besides the Green Bay Trail and sidewalks, and so I think that's a good thing, and thank you.
Correct. Commissioner Coyle?
I just handed around an article from Peter Murphy that I think contains a lot of information that was informed by our closed session board meeting with him, and some activities that have gone on at several park districts. I think it's a good read. I think it's a good reminder of what our job is as board members, both the responsibilities, the obligations, and the limits. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I had a wonderful day on September 13th. Started off at the farmer's market with Elise. Thank you for setting up. The skies parted. We had a wonderful 3 hours at the farmer's market. So many positive comments. Susie was there as well.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, and it was a wonderful day. I then went home, I took a nap. I then walked my dog through Crow Island Woods. It looks freaking beautiful. I then went to Lloyd Beach, my wife and I with another couple, and had non-alcoholic drinks at Lloyd. But as I was standing at the top of Lloyd, after I parked my car, before walking down the gravel path, I'm like, this looks unbelievably beautiful. I mean, it was a beautiful day. And I then walked down the gravel, and then I got to the beach level, and I saw the horizon. I mean, I had an uninhibited, beautiful view of the lake at Lloyd. So it was a Winnetka Park District day on the 13th of September. And we just do so many good things at this agency, Costa, you and your team,
Yeah.
Shannon, you guys are good, okay? So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Seaman. Does anyone else wish to make public comment?
I'm not gonna follow that.
No.
How was your 13th?
That was my.
I forgot something.
Uh-oh.
Unless Commissioner Cotto wants to talk about Saturday morning.
Oh, you talk about it.
You want to?
Yeah.
So
You're supposed to.
Commissioner Cotto and I were at the ribbon cutting at the Crow Island Gym, and it is phenomenal.
Is it really?
Yes, it is amazing. The architects and District 36 did an outstanding job with the exterior of the gym, with the interior. It is functional, it is a beautiful space, and I'm so excited that our community will have access to it. It's really terrific. So
It's well deserved. Yeah. All right, I think we have to move into closed session. So with that,
We might be taking action after closed session, so we usually tell them that.
that we're gonna take action after closed session. Okay, we're gonna take action after closed session. Is that good?
on the subject of review of closed session.
Yes, subject to review of closed. Yeah.
Yeah, on the review of closed session minutes, which is not a fireworks action.
Stay tuned.
So, yeah.
Get our ratings continued.
To go into closed session, yes. Could we take a vote to go into closed session, please?
You have to be.
You have to say
The motion.
exemption.
Oh, okay. May I have a motion to, let me see, with respect to 5 Illinois compiled statute 120/2C11, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent. And also 5 Illinois compiled statute 120/2C21, discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act, whether for the purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or a semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 2.06.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root.
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Koto,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
love you.
All right.
Look at this, crowded little
All right, we are now back in regular meeting at 9:14, and all commissioners present earlier are still in attendance. Didn't do I think I needed to do a motion to return to open session. We close it, I'm sorry, may I have a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now back in the regular meeting at 9:14, and all commissioners present earlier are still in attendance. Can we turn to section 10.1, semi-annual review of closed session minutes? And I'm turning to Commissioner Cotto to make the motion.
May I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-09-2501, releasing the minutes for meetings dated March 13th, 1997, March 27th, 1997, February 19th, 2004, September 11th, 2014, November 13th, 2014, January 29th, 2015, March 26th, 2015, June 25th, 2015.
Do you want to give direction on the tapes too?
That was just written to me. But not destroying any recordings for any meetings.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes?
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cotto,
Yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:17?
So, second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.